Welcome to the worst idea of all time
podcast.
Hello, I am Tim Batt.
And my name is Guy Montgomery.
And this is our first watch of the sensational ensemble comedy Grown Ups 2. We've just watched it for the first time.
And we will be doing so week after week for the foreseeable future, essentially.
Which is an absolutely absurd idea.
The idea is to watch it every week until it becomes worthwhile.
Guy pitched this to me and he said, we'll watch a movie every week and do a podcast, but here's the kicker, we'll watch the same movie. I thought, fantastic. I thought, let's pick a movie. It's got to be just the right amount of everything. It's got to be just the right amount of length. There's got to be something in it for you so you can keep watching it a few times. And it's got to have enough to grab onto that we can keep commentary on it. And we settled on the sequel to the much maligned Grown Ups.
A film that I haven't... Have you seen?
I think I have, but I can't remember a single thing about it except that I hated it.
Well, I hadn't seen the first one, and I thought the second one... You said Grown Ups. I said, why not put a 2 on it? And an hour and 40 minutes later, I found out why. This has to be one of the worst movies I've seen. The last movie I remember watching, which moved me to be this just like restless and unhappy and frustrated and confused, was... Oh, I can't even remember the name of it. It was...
Who's in it?
It was... I can't remember. It was in... I wrote a review about it. I got so angry I walked out of the cinema. I got free tickets from the Black Thunder, 91ZDM's Black Thunder, and I walked out of the cinema and I went home and I wrote a blog, which is a pretty high level of frustration.
Was it recent, this film?
No, it would have been 2007 or 8.
Was it Save the Last Dance?
No,
That's the last movie I walked out of that I paid for.
I actually quite liked Save the Last Dance. It was something about being in high school. The guy had a big nose. It was written by one of the Simpsons writers. It was based on a book.
Mama's Boy?
No.
You know what? We've diverged.
It's not important. What is important is that we discuss Grown Ups 2.
I don't even... How do we even, begin with this film?
Well, I think we could take a very similar approach with this podcast to what they did with the film, which is just don't worry about anything and go for it.
I think first, maybe the first thing, the wow factor with this movie is the cast. So maybe we should start with that. Should we just start throwing names of people who are in this film?
The cast, it's a veritable who's who of successful 90s television comedians. It's sort of like a Saturday Night Live ensemble.
It is. But on steroids. You've got Adam Sandler, who co-wrote the film, whose wife is Salma Hayek for some reason. Kevin James, who you'll know from King of Queens and Mall Cop, is in there. And what?
Hitch.
Oh, yeah, of course, yes. Imagine if Will Smith was in this movie. It wouldn't even surprise me, because by the end, there was just so many people in it.
He's married to Maya Rudolph, who's also Saturday Night Live alumni.
We've got Chris Rock, formerly one of the greatest comedians in the world.
Yeah, he's married to Maya Rudolph. Kevin James is married to a woman I didn't recognise.
Kevin James's wife. Yeah, I can't remember who that is. I'm sure we'll get it by the second watch. David Spade is in this film.
Plenty of time to figure all this stuff out. David Spade, he's playing Joe Dirt. He doesn't have a partner, and he's
apart from Just Shoot Me, when is David Spade not playing Joe Dirt?
Apparently he was really good in Saturday Night Live.
Well, I liked him in this movie. I thought he was acting, and he was the only one.
Cameos come in the form of John Lovitz.
Love it.
He was one of the few things which made us laugh. Shaquille O'Neal has a part. All of Adam Sandler's entourage. You know, all the bit part character actors who show up. The cast of Grandma's Boy, I guess.
I was very surprised, actually, that
Rob Schneider
didn't appear in this movie. Wait, did he?
Well,
he's probably in there somewhere.
Yeah.
We just missed it.
Steve Buscemi.
Yes, Buscemi's in there, along with Taylor Lautner.
Yeah.
Teen heartthrob.
Here's what I would loosely describe as the antagonist. But
Will Forte pops up in a car wash scene alongside Andy Samberg
and the boys from the Lonely Island. But don't let all of these names confuse you. This movie is a steaming hot pile of shit from dot one. The first scene, the hook, which makes you say, I can't wait to see what unfolds, is Adam Sandler in bed with Salma Hayek. And he's woken up inexplicably. They never ever address how this happened, apart from revealing that the front door was left open. There's a reindeer or a moose, or there's some sort of animal with antlers in the bedroom, and no one.
It's a CGI moose. It's in the bedroom. Adam Sandler wakes up to quite a start seeing this thing and tries very delicately to tell Salma Hayek without alarming her that she needs to open the window. And what's his play with this? That they should both jump out of it?
Yeah, well, it's a big house and they're on the second floor, and luckily Salma Hayek never opens the window, so that particular thread leaves unsewn.
He keeps whispering to her. He says, "Your mom's here. You need to go and open the window.
Just let me sleep."
That's what she says sleepily. Salma Hayek. There was a great Salma Hayek, by the way. And yeah, once again, I'm not sure what the play was going to be, if he was intending to throw the moose out of the window or if they were going to throw themselves out of the second story window. But either way, hilarity ensues in the form of the CGI moose tearing the house asunder.
That's right. And the craziest thing is it winds up with a bra on its antlers, and it runs outside, and the postman's outside, and he goes to Adam Sandler, he goes, "Hey, is that your wife's bra?" And then Salma Hayek is wearing a sort of negligee nightie, and she covers herself because it's
a creepy fucking thing to say.
Postman, and then Adam Sandler sort of scolds him, and then eventually goes, "Yeah, it is pretty nice," and he gives her a high five, and it sets the tone for just God.
There's kids in this movie. There's a lot of kids. There's so many kids. Everyone's got kids.
Let's not just single it out to there's a lot of kids. There's a lot of characters. You probably meet over 40 people in this movie, and none of them make any sense.
There's no payoff to any. There's no, because one of the central things that you want to see in a film, right, is it's supposed to start somewhere and end in a similar place, except they've gone through a lot, and your central characters have learnt something along the way. I have no concept of what anyone has learnt in this film.
We should probably try and give some sort of synopsis.
I guess. God, it's so hard though. Well, first of all, can we just say that this is the longest day of all time?
Are you talking about our day or the movie?
Both.
It's the whole thing takes part in one hellish day. It starts, as we said, with Adam Sandler and Salma Hayek. I'm going to ruin the ending for you now. It also ends with Adam Sandler and Salma Hayek in bed. It's
a nice bookend to the film. It's the last day of school.
Yeah.
It's the last day of school in summer. Summer's just kicking off.
It's about to start.
And, okay, so what happens? So we've got the moose. I just keep coming back to the rule at Kmart for half of this film.
We meet all the families, and then the bus driver who's meant to be taking the kids to school is, like, wasted on drugs.
Yeah.
And so Adam Sandler, just because he doesn't have a job, because he got rich somehow, he decides to drive the school bus, and he drops the kids. No, he picks up his friends on the way to school.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they all drop them at the school, and then they just go and hang out in Kmart for
half the day,
2 hours. These are like grown men going to the mall, and
they've all got jobs. Kind of. Well, Adam Sandler doesn't because he got rich in Hollywood. I assume that's explained in the first Grown Ups movie, which I'm sure is a masterpiece, which I think I have seen but don't remember.
I don't think it's too important whether or not it is explained. It's just this inexplicable series of not funny scenes.
So we get introduced at the start. We've kind of glossed over this, but there's a little vignette, a little window into everyone's lives and their family situation. So everyone's got kids. So we see what's happening with Chris Rock's family. He's got the wife there. He's got a couple of kids.
It's their 20-year marriage anniversary.
That's right.
And he's hidden a necklace for his wife in his son's diaper.
Because that's what you do when you're married, folks. That's married life.
He tells her that she's on nappy duty, and then she takes it and he goes, "Happy 20th anniversary." And she's like, "What?" Because she completely forgot.
She forgot.
And so he gets this free pass.
Which is what we're all searching for in relationships. It's all a point system, and we're all looking for that little nugget of gold.
Listen to this. No one's going to listen to this fucking podcast. Because no one's going to watch the fucking movie. It's so fucking terrible.
It's so absurdly bad. But anyway, we must press on, Guy. Don't be disheartened. They made this film. This movie got finished and released, and I'm sure along the way there was so many people at every stage who said, "This cannot be released. This cannot be finished. It cannot be put out to the public." And you know what it was. So in the spirit of Grown Ups 2, this podcast will be done.
Go on.
So
I can't wait to see what we're saying in 30 weeks.
The shining light of talent, I think, in the early vignettes, Chris Rock has the son, the aforementioned son? It is the son, who's got the diaper. sensational talent. You can tell that kid's a born performer. It's dancing around.
Young black stereotype.
Yeah.
Like when it turns out that Maya Rudolph's forgotten the 20th anniversary, it just goes to a shot of the 2-year-old's face up close, and he just says straight down the camera, "That's cold."
I don't know how you even teach a baby to say that, because he got the intonation and the timing dead on. Do you reckon the baby was CGI as well? Because the moose was. I assume they've got a lot of money thrown around.
Then Kevin James's family, we meet them next, and he's got a child who's just really thick, and they never explain it.
Yeah, that's right. They're on this path of parenting where they want to not discourage the kid.
Positive reinforcement.
Positive reinforcement at all costs. So we're the little window into his family life is the mum, his wife, who appears
to be normal
very briefly in that film. Is that like the only bit she's in?
No, she was at yoga class.
Oh yeah, of course.
She was at the ballet recital. And
she's forgettable.
She was at the party.
Oh, my bad.
She was all through the film.
Spoiler alert, there's a party and some ballet. So she's got these flashcards going, what's 9 and 3 to the kid, and the kid's 28, and she's like, that's great, very good. That's not how you raise a kid.
And he just gets all this math stuff. They've just written the laziest jokes, and they're like, no one's going to say this.
But it doesn't even...
we get to say these lines, and then they just feed them to this 5-year-old kid. And it's actually one of the funniest parts of the movie.
The bad math and stuff?
Yeah, the whole script, it feels like... Did you watch the OC, Tim?
I can't remember the OC. Yeah, that was a good show.
You remember, so Seth Cohen, who was sort of the protagonist, he was very funny. And there was one guy who... It was a character, I can't remember his name, but he was described by everyone as big. Like, he tried to be funny, but everything was too big. Remember that? He meets Seth Cohen's dad, Sandy, and Sandy goes, "Hi, I'm Sandy," and then the character goes, "Oh, well, I guess you better take a shower then." And then
I don't remember that minor character from the OC.
Walks out of the scene, and Sandy's like, "Geez, that kid's not funny." It's like that character has written a movie. Everything is so big.
Yeah, and there's some gags that look like they work on paper. I want to go through the families just a little bit more, though, just to give it a little bit of a picture. We won't go through the whole movie because, sweet Jesus, we just went through the whole movie, and I don't want anyone else to go through it, which really begs the question,
why are we doing this?
What is in this for other people? But we will press forward. David Spade. Now, he's got an interesting one. So his situation is he hooked up with a girl who is revealed, I think, through the entire film, only as Hiccups McGee, a woman who he briefly had sexual intercourse with.
One of the many women who get treated with the utmost respect in this film.
Nothing but complete fleshed out characters. And you never see her in the film, by the way. She's only mentioned as Hiccups McGee. So he's had sex with her, which has created a child.
That's
a spawn has happened.
She inexplicably fails to tell David Spade that he has a child until the child's 17. And
I think he's supposed to be about 14, but the gag is that he's huge.
Yeah, and then he just inexplicably is like, okay, that's cool. And she sends him up on a train from Florida.
Yeah, that's never really fleshed out at all. What's that about?
What sort of happy-go-lucky guy like David Spade, who's set up as only looking after himself.
Yeah.
He's just going to be like, yeah, cool, what, I have a kid? Okay, yeah,
I'm equipped for that.
Yeah.
That seems fine to me. There's no problems there. The kid shows up. He looks like he's in his mid-20s, and he pulls a flick knife on David Spade, which is actually a pretty funny bit. And then David Spade has turned up expecting a far more gentle and small child, has bought him a soft toy, and he just proceeds to cut the head off the teddy bear.
Right. And then he gets scared, and he tells his son that he's going to work. He has to go to school for one day, the last day of school, because he's got to go and work at the soup kitchen. But he doesn't actually have to go and work at the soup kitchen. He's just scared.
It's a front.
I'm just going to fast forward for a bit.
Please do.
Because the son eventually finds out that David Spade wasn't working at the soup kitchen. And he's crushed.
He's crushed.
So demoralised.
Which I guess if you, in your own head, had enough kind of intelligence and wound that out, maybe it's because this kid who's kind of suggested to be trailer trash and stuff, maybe he's from a lower socioeconomic area living with Hiccups McGee, where the soup kitchen's a really important pillar in that community. And so he's like, how dare you take on the sacred elephant as your cover to not hang out with me. How dare you?
Yeah, well, the way he takes out his frustration is he doesn't pull a knife on his dad again. He instead goes to a fraternity and ruins the whole outside, toilet papers the whole frat. Just
destroys a frat house. The frat house isn't out of nowhere, by the way. At one point, the guys...
In fairness, the frat house is kind of out of nowhere.
It is a lot of it. But as part of the 60-hour day in which the film occurs, all the friends go to a swimming hole. So we've got Kevin James, Adam Sandler, whoever the fuck else is in this movie, which is a lot of people. Like the five of them go to the swimming hole to relive old times, I guess, and Kevin James is going to jump off a big cliff.
Because he's never jumped off because he's scared.
And then they get confronted by these frat kids who claim that they owned the swimming hole, which is fine. And then things get really aggressive. Tyler Lautner is their leader and just starts backflipping heaps.
It's like 11. Yeah, that was another funny bit. There are a few, like, there's 3 lines which are almost self-referential, where it's like the characters are the actors and the actors are like, what are we doing? Like when Taylor Lautner's doing their backflips, David Spade's like, that guy's just doing 11 backflips for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're commentating what we're thinking. And they just give you little flashes of hope like that.
There's a couple of things like that. Adam Sandler, prior to that bit, goes... he's talking to his son. First of all, he calls all of his children ugly. His kid goes, I'm after the hottest girl in school. It's the last day of summer. And one of the other kids, the kid who's talking's brother, goes, but you'll never get her because you're ugly. And Adam Sandler goes, you're all ugly. You're hideous. You're fugly. We're all fugly.
We're all fugly.
But that doesn't stop us getting obscenely attractive woman. Look at me and your wife. It makes no sense. That would only happen in a Hollywood film. And stops just shy of looking down the barrel of the camera and giving a Ferris Bueller-style wink, which I'm not sure if it would have endeared me to this film more or less. But
he gives his son a 3-step guide to get any woman. And
that's right.
Might actually be of use. This might be a takeaway from the film. It's 1, make her smile. 2,
good. That's good advice.
Say she has a nice smile.
Yep.
And then 3, say that you have to come out with me tonight.
Force her to do it, put pressure on, do it in the moment, give it a strict time frame of that evening, and hey, spoiler alert, it pays off for the kid when he applies that knowledge. There's
so much like questionable, objectionable material. Like Kevin James and his wife are going, this podcast is all over the place as the movie, perhaps as a result of it. But he goes, like, his wife takes him to this car wash where these high school cheerleaders are going to wash it, and she's like trying to turn him on.
Oh, that's... Yeah, now, how the fuck did they get to that point?
And then, like, the policeman, who's Shaquille O'Neal, and the guy... Fuck, I hate this.
If we sound a little low energy, it's because we've just seen the film. I sent Guy out to get coffees in the aftermath. Because we need something to kind of break through here. It's just... Fuck. Okay, so who else have we got dealing with here? We've got one of the black comic actors from 40-Year-Old Virgin who...
He was actually also on Saturday Night Live. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, we'll look that up if we ever see this again.
The Dewey Cox story. He was the guy who told Dewey Cox, John C. Reilly, about all the drugs and...
I haven't seen that.
Oh,
I hear it's really good. Maybe we should have done that movie or any other film ever made.
Well, I guess what's exciting about this, Tim, is that we get to do it all again next week.
It's like watching our descent into madness. But anyway, it's going somewhere with that. So that SNL / 40-Year-Old Virgin actor is in it. He serves as the foil to... Chris Rock's character. They grew up at high school and stuff. I think they work at this... Oh, no, they don't work together because he's at Kmart.
Everyone in this movie is... Like, everyone knows each other from high school. No one ever left the city except Adam Sandler, who came back.
Yeah, he went to Hollywood and made heaps of money, which again I assume was explained in the first movie, and then inextricably came back to this horrible community of misogynistic racial stereotypes.
The way they all like qualify. Every time a character gets introduced, the way the writers qualify is by being like, how do they know this guy? Well, they went to high school together.
They were at high school, you know, and either they were best friends and now they hate each other, they were best friends and now they're best friends, or they hated each other and now they're best friends. Yeah. It's like just this weird interplay of completely hate or completely love.
The other big question I had when I was watching this movie, because of the like sexual undertones or overtones, whatever you want to call them, and like the sort of off-color jokes, I don't think there was one swear word. I don't know
someone said shit and it really stuck out.
I don't know who they aimed this at.
Yeah.
Colin Quinn, that comedian Colin Quinn, his big scene is he's fixing an ice cream machine and David Spade tells him if he does this thing, it will fix it, and it makes it look like he's pooing.
Yeah. And it goes like every visual gag in this. How long's the movie? 2 hours and 10 minutes, I think?
It was, what was it, 101 minutes. It's not.
So that's shy of 2 hours. 1 minute, 1 hour 50. Felt like a lot longer.
1 hour 40.
But what this film is just comprised of visual gags that go too long, that weren't funny when they began, but in the hopes that if they just keep going, they'll develop into something. So yeah, that scene where he's kind of bent over this ice cream machine with his chocolate sundae coming out, seemingly of his rectum, is capped off after a very long kind of spinning out of this this gag. It's topped off by the kid going, "Is that where ice cream comes from?"
That stupid kid.
And scene.
And I've got to go pick up my dad right now.
You don't. You're making that up. That's a lie.
I really do.
That's a lie.
We've got 2 minutes to wrap up the first episode. It's a short podcast. As we read more into the film, they'll become longer and more nuanced.
I'd really love it if you could join us every week, because originally we were talking about, before we saw the film, doing this 50 times. That's not happening.
It would.
We can't do it.
The thing with this movie is that the only way for there to be payoff is for us to actually do it 50 times. Because by that point,
I've got to go 5, man. Can we do 5 and just kind of reassess? Because honestly, I don't know if I'll kill myself.
Yeah, there's a risk of that.
My name is Tim Batt. You can follow me on Twitter, I guess. Is that a takeaway?
My name is Guy Montgomery, and you can forget that I was involved in this shambles.
Come back next week. There'll be more of this. I'm so confused.
Well, get excited about next week. If you didn't like this week, that's okay. Maybe, we'll find some more stuff in the movie for next week.
Usually this is the point where you say you go and watch it so you know what we're talking about. I cannot recommend that anyone go and see this film for any reason.
Watch the trailer.
Watch the trailer.
In your mind, extrapolate that to 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Try not to kill yourself.
Yeah, and then come back for the podcast. Okay. We'll see you then. Tim Batt signing off of the most ludicrous podcast of all time.
All right, good night or morning. Fuck, I hate this. Fuck!
The worst idea of all time.
Podcast.